Are you looking to get some home improvement projects done on your property? On this episode, we are going to have a conversation with a contractor about how to make sure that you choose the right person to help you get those jobs done. Hello, and welcome back to the Happy House Hacking Podcast, the podcast designed to help young people in California navigate the path to happy home ownership. I am your host, Owen Schwagerly. I'm a realtor, investor, and happy house hacker. And on today's episode, we have a general contractor, Charlie Johnson, going to share with us more about construction, what it is, how to do it, and get your projects done. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Charlie.
Thanks for having me.
So Charlie is a fantastic contractor that we got connected with a while back, and he helped us convert our garage into an accessory dwelling unit, which we're super grateful for because that's helped us turn our home into a house hack. And that's what the whole podcast is all about. And so for the first almost year of our son's life, Charlie was coming around, working on the construction, doing the conversion. And our little boy ended up loving construction. And he sometimes will dress up as a construction guy and say, I'm like a construction man, like Charlie. So Charlie, we are
That's
grateful
awesome.
for you and having you in our home today to be on the podcast. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got into construction.
Yeah, it's been 18 years old, started doing construction, and yeah, it's just fun moving around, different projects. You're always doing different things, different places. So yeah, just been doing it my whole life. 2003, got my license, started my own business, and been going ever since.
Nice. So construction, you started really young at 18.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it?
My stepdad. So yeah, he had a company, and we worked for big companies doing like military bases and whatnot. So we learned a lot. Well, I learned a lot because I was on the job from start to finish. So I got to see all the phases at an early age, and really, was able to learn and see all the stuff from beginning to end, which is important. So now, as a company owner, that's kind of what we do. We start the dirt, do the concrete framing, all the way to the finishes, and kind of a one-stop shop, really. So yeah,
that is awesome. So construction, a general contractor, what does that all include, and how does the licensing process work?
When I applied for my license, it took about a year to get the test date, and you just get all the information you can and study. You go down, it took me about an hour to do my test. They tell you right there if you pass or fail. It's on the computer. I got my Class B license first, which is general construction. And then when times got tough, I kind of saw the writing on the wall and decided to get my Class A, which is a engineering license, which allows you to do work in the public right away. So sidewalks, street work, sewer tie-ins, water lines. And when the recession hit in 07 and 08, that Class A license kind of saved my butt because there was the residential, everything just dropped off. There was, instead of 3 contractors bidding on projects, there was 30 contractors bidding on projects. So we were able to stick in there with that Class A license. There was a lot more work available. So glad I got that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so licensing is, as I've learned in the business, very important. And can you explain, I guess, some of the risks or if you go through an unlicensed contractor, what can you expect?
You know what better than I do, unfortunately. It's it's so tempting to go with I can do it for half price, and just like everything else out in the world, it's sometimes you get what you pay for, and you got to be careful. Ask for references, get lots of references, talk to 3 or 4 or 5 people that they've done work for, previously. It's important to do a little due diligence and check people out because, I was born in this town, been working in this town my whole life, and, quality and reputation's super important to me. And of course, taking care of my customers, more than making a buck is making my clients happy and doing good work. So, there's people that aren't like that out there, and you got to be careful. And as I don't know if you shared that story on this program before, But yeah, it can really, you think you're saving money and then it costs you double, triple at the end because you got to redo everything. As you know, the project you and I had worked on together, we both kind of know what's going on there. But
Yep, that was a painful one where we
yeah,
thought we could save some money and go through this other guy. He told us he was licensed and he said he could do it all, and then we find out he wasn't even licensed.
yikes.
So that was kind of fraudulent and really uncool, and that just shows you need to do your due diligence and fact check. And if someone says they're licensed, you can follow up on that.
Yeah, and let me get pictures. Maybe see what they've done. I'm horrible. I've been doing this my whole life, but I don't have a portfolio. I don't take pictures of all my jobs like I should be doing. But it's just reputation, word of mouth. Go ahead, call my clients that I'm working with now and some previous ones. And luckily I have good clients.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys. Just you gotta keep up on the up and up, and if you're hiring a contractor, then you definitely need to do your homework and see where they're coming from, what they've done, and ask to see their license and check them out. It's really easy to get on the California State License Board, look up their number, make sure the names are lining up, because you can grab anybody's number and hand it to somebody and you got to make sure it's them. So it's,
right.
It's easy, but not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's so important. Who you work with totally makes a difference, doing the fact checking on people. Now, what would you say are some things to look out for in a good contractor? Like, how do you know this is a good guy? Let's say I've already fact checked, references appear to be good. What are some other things that might indicate this looks like a good contractor to
Yeah.
use?
I mean, I think mostly just the references. I mean, that's all you can really go on until you get to know that person. I tell my new clients, say, hey, let's start out. I like to do time and material. A lot of people don't like to do that, but I'm honest. If my guys make a mistake, I bring it to the owner's attention and we get it taken care of. But luckily, that doesn't happen too often. But a lot of people are wary about doing time and material rather than a bid. But these days, it's kind of hard, especially with these tariffs coming out. Like right now, I don't want to do any bids because tomorrow a sheet of plywood might be, $20 today and $50 tomorrow. So it's hard to guarantee a price with what's happening in today's world. But yeah,
Yeah, explain more about that because I know that's a big kind of differentiator, time and material versus bidding.
yeah.
So explain more about your thought process, how you came to that versus going maybe the bid route.
So if I do a bid, I got to, pad it a little bit. Obviously I don't want to, I can't lose money and pay for people's projects. I'd like to, but not independently wealthy yet. And then, the only thing for me, I think time and material, everybody kind of wins because unless you have lazy workers, people aren't getting things done, charging for 8 hours, they're working 6. I mean, it happens out there and that's why a lot of people don't like it. But if if you're there watching things, I'm fine with the clients watching my guys work and I get compliments all the time on my guys. They get in there, they work hard. I'm there, I check in all my different jobs, making sure things are getting done the way I think they should be getting done. That's important. And we live in a small town and your reputation is everything. So, I definitely try to keep everybody happy and the guys working hard, which they do, and a good crew. Quality work obviously is, that if it's crappy work, doesn't matter how fast you go or slow you go, you got it, everything's got to be done nicely.
Yeah.
So, that's,
Yeah. And we can attest to that. Like we've seen your guys, seen your crew. We know they show up on time when they're supposed to, and they work the whole day for the whole time period allotted. Whereas in other experiences we've had where the guys weren't there when they were supposed to be there, they would pack up early, leave, and say they were there the whole day, even though they weren't. And, oh, we're out to lunch when I'm there at the property.
right.
And
Yeah.
they never showed up.
It's hard. And then I mean, and that's what I kind of was getting at. I tell my potential clients, and I bill every 2 weeks. So let's do 2 weeks and let's see where we're at and how you're feeling. And, you're not obligated, depending on what kind of contract you sign. I don't know how dirty some people get with contracts, whatnot, like, hey, we got a full contract. I got to see this all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not going to happen, but again, I just I want to make everybody happy. So for me, like, I'm okay if you don't like the way things are working out in 2 weeks from now, you can, find another
Yeah.
contractor, which is not, nobody wants that. And so far I've never been kicked off a job. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, yeah, just try to, like I said,
I
keep
know
everybody happy.
in other situations with other unlicensed contractors, they said they were licensed. However, they would bill us for 4 guys on the job and themselves, and I never saw this 4th guy.
Mm.
And he was always out to lunch or
Yeah.
whatnot. And so that just shows how important integrity is, how it matters, and honesty when it comes to who you work with. So, so we super appreciate you and how you do that. Now, let's talk about if someone wanted to do a project, because we get this all the time in real estate. People like see a house and they're like, ooh, okay, cool. Big eyes. Yeah, it's only a 2-bed, 1-bath house, but hey, we could add a 3rd bedroom and 2nd bathroom, and just like bust the walls out, expand. And then they get these big dreams and visions and they think it's going to be, not that much.
Right.
What are your thoughts on doing expansion projects, and walk us through kind of your experience there?
So yeah, permits are, first of all, you got to find a draftsman architect. You got to have it drawn up, got to submit it to the city or county. That could be anywhere from, a couple weeks, or if it's a small little bedroom, maybe over the counter. It could be up to, if it's a full house, you're looking, 4 months, 8 months sometimes to get your permits, after waiting 2 or 3 months, depending on what architect you hire to get drawings made up. And then, yeah, finding your contractor. A lot of times, another thing too is talk to architects. Architects, have a lot of good contractors that they work with and comfortable, recommending with their drawings and whatnot. So that's another good way to look for a contractor. Yeah, and then construct. So yeah, before you even break ground, plans aren't cheap. Architects aren't cheap. You gotta have it sometimes structurally engineered alongside the architect. And then permits, whatever county, city you live in, they all vary. And then, yeah, put a bunch of money in it, then you can start building. And then, that's it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and like 10 years ago, we were about, for a new residential construction, probably in the $200 a foot range. And now we're bumping up against 500. And I've heard of people here in San Luis doing $1,000 a square foot.
Wow.
Which is probably a luxurious home. But yeah, right now I'm about 500 a foot. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that cost coming down anytime soon?
I don't think so. No.
No.
I mean, I think if anything, major price jumps yet. It sounds like they're on their way. A lot of people have small businesses and such, seen some higher prices. So I haven't seen it quite buying stuff off the shelf yet, but I'm sure they're coming. And like I said, right now I'm not, I'll tell people, like, we can do time and material, but I really don't want to bid anything because I have no, if let's just say 25%, and you're doing a project for $1 million, and the next thing you know, it goes up 25% on the material side, that's a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
So, you can't be stuck with a contract that says I'll get it done for this price, no matter what the materials cost. So,
Right.
And I mean, it's just fair to the contractor. I mean, some people want, they get their contractor sign a contract and it's like something, the materials go up. It's like not his fault. And, and then what he has to pay for, your house, it's kind of like,
Right.
It's not good for him. He can't stay in business that way. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know I was writing up for a newsletter this month what the tariffs could mean. And you look at the materials that go into building a house. You've got lumber coming from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like gypsum, which goes into drywall, plaster, and that comes from China and Mexico. And then you've got
most everything,
China, appliances, China. So like a lot of everything that goes into building a house is really coming from some other places.
Yeah. And that's why, that's what they're trying to do, obviously, because they make rebar right here in the States, but nobody buys it because it's twice as much as the stuff coming in from Mexico or China. So now with the tariffs, might look better to buy the stuff made in America, which, it's going to cost us all more money, but, providing jobs here in America. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds like I don't want to get political.
I know it's
Let's not go down that road.
straight up.
Yeah.
What it seems though is that if these tariffs are enacted and implemented, it would just make the material costs for homes go up.
Correct.
Which would be baked into the sales price, which means that the price of homes is going up. And if you don't see the cost of building going down, if we're at $500 a square foot, if that's not coming down anytime soon, then there's just no way that the price for homes is going to be able to come down.
Right. Yeah, you can't. To buy a house now is probably cheaper than to build one for sure.
Yeah.
It used to be cheaper to build a house and make, get a little equity in it. And now it costs, you might as well buy a house and,
the resale market may be doing better than construction. And we've seen a lot of like new construction homes, like they're sitting on market longer. And so they're willing to offer these massive concessions. They don't want to drop their price, but they'll pay to buy your rate down and get you into like the 4 or 5%. But they're paying like $30,000-$40,000 in closing cost credits instead of reducing the price because they don't want their comps to go down for the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
So anyway, it's a crazy thing and very hard to be in building right now just due to the cost of everything.
Yep.
So basically buyers need to really think through this house decision. If I'm going to buy this tiny little house with a 2-bed, 1-bath, I really need to factor in what the costs could be. And it may be extraordinarily much higher, maybe $500 a square foot. So if I was thinking about adding 1,000 square feet, well, that's just an extra $500,000.
Yeah. I mean, depending, obviously, if you're doing a bedroom or two, it's going to be significantly less than, no bathroom, no kitchen, appliances, all that stuff. So depending on what you're doing, I guess the price will differ quite a bit. If you want to add a couple bedrooms off the back, a lot less than, kitchen or bathroom or, that kind of thing. So
then let's talk about accessory dwelling units because we're huge fans of that, big proponents of it. And when we're showing property to buyers, a lot of people are interested in that. Like, oh, can I add a granny unit? Could I put one in the backyard, do ground up construction, or do some form of a conversion like we've done? So what are your thoughts on those two approaches?
They're great. I mean, I'm doing one in my backyard right now because, the town we live in is great for rents, for the college town. So, I mean, we should be able to get $2,000 a month at least for our little tiny 300 square foot ADU. Cost wise, again, doing it myself at my place is probably going to be $120,000, doing it myself. So you're still looking at, easy couple $100,000 probably for a little, little tiny custom, house. You can buy pre-made ones. There's some kits you can get, which I've seen some are actually pretty decent. They'll come and just crane it into your backyard. So that's an option if you might be able to save some money there.
Yeah.
My son was living in a little ADU that she just purchased and craned in the backyard, and it was really nice.
Wow.
So, yeah. So there's that option to save on. I know one of our local towns here in North County, they have like 3 sets of plans that you can purchase from the city that they allow. So you're not spending all the extra money on architect and structural engineers, and they're ready to go. So you pick, one of the 3, and you pay a lot smaller fee at the city, and then just start building. So might want to check with your local, if you're looking to do an ADU, check with your local planning department, and they might have something available there that's going to save you a lot of money in the long run as far as building.
That's cool. Yeah. So that could be a good way to do it. Now, ground up construction, you still think it would be in that range of like $500 a square foot for a spot like that?
I would probably. It's sometimes the smaller you go, sometimes the price per square foot goes up because you're kind of doing all the same steps. Yeah, you're still doing it. everything's smaller, but since
fixed costs.
So if you're doing 300 square feet, that's 150,000. That's probably about what it's going to be. So they're still still in the $500 a foot.
So then what about these prefabs? We actually just had a guest speaker on from this company called Joyline Homes. They've got a billboard in North County on the side of the road, and they do the prefabricated homes, and they're like luxury. They look super nice. So that seems to be more of a trend. People are going to look into that as an option versus stick built. And so anyway, I guess there's pros and cons to each, but what are you seeing more of? Have you built
Mo-
more ADUs that are ground up, or?
Yeah, mostly it's going to be your lot. Like, if what they supply isn't going to fit in your backyard, then you definitely need to get a custom one built. So
Mhm.
it's kind of what's available to you, options and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah. And then what about conversions? Like, we're super big fans of doing conversions like this garage conversion or a basement conversion, maybe attic conversions. What are your experiences going through that process?
No, for sure. Yeah. If you don't need your garage, put a couple bedrooms in there and rent it out. Yeah. It's one of the smartest things you can do, I think. So,
What about a basement?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know why not. We don't we don't have too many basements around here.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've seen some really nice basements. Obviously not as many windows and that kind of thing. So you just got to think about that. But
Egress. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Getting in and out.
yeah. So whatever the rules are in your city, county. So yeah, I got to look at that. Yeah, and if you're deciding to do something, that's probably the first step is you have to decide if you can even do it, or go check to see if you can even do it.
Yeah.
Go down to your local planning department and say, this is where I live. They'll bring it up on the computer, overhead picture. This is what I want to do. And they'll say, oh yeah, you can do that. It'll be this much money, or no, we don't allow that in that zoning. So that's probably the first thing you do to see if you can even get it through the department, the planning department.
Nice. Now, do you have any other pro tips you could share with the audience about construction or contractors, things to know before they do their next construction project?
Yeah, no, if you're going to hire a contractor, like I said, just check out, ask around, what did they do last? Talk with the people. Most contractors will, they'll give you a few numbers right off the bat and make sure it's their last project, and then get a hold of them and just make sure that they are who they say they are and they did what they did. And then, yeah, doing it yourself. If you want to tackle things yourself, yeah, there's a lot of online, things you can look at with the internet these days. Just get on YouTube and you can pretty much build anything.
Yeah.
You just watch it long enough. But obviously you got to pass, inspectors will come out and make sure everything's being done right. So yeah, I don't know if people are out there wanting to tackle their own projects or not, but they can definitely do it.
DIY,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, or maybe even, find a contractor that's willing to help. Say, I want to do it myself, but, I need a consultant, can you run over, pay him whatever per hour to say, this is how you do it and help you out. And then there's people, I'm sure there's consultants out there that would come out and help you get your project moving along if you want to do it yourself. So yeah, that might be an option. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for going over everything and just answering our questions. And thank you to everyone that's listening or watching in today. Please like and subscribe to the podcast for more great episodes like this. And if you ever need a great local contractor in the San Luis Obispo County region, Charlie Johnson with C3 Constructions worked out to be a wonderful contractor for us, and we'd be happy to put you in touch with him for your next project. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.